FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. It's December 4th, 2017. Well, price of gold has been fluctuating, can't seem to break that $1,300 mark. Once it does, and stay above it, I should say. It's broke it 2 or 3 times already. But where are we at with the gold market? Andy Schectman over at Miles Franklin is with us now. Miles Franklin, one of the most trusted names in bullion in the industry. Andy, welcome back.
Kerry, good to be here. Always great to be here. Appreciate it.
Hey, so gold market, silver. Silver is like under 17 now. Gold is like in that 12.75 range, down about $5 today, and it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time. I mean, what's happening here?
The fundamentals have detached from reality, more or less. The cost of production in both gold and silver are higher now than it is than the items are priced at. And so we've reached a period of time where logic and outcome have disconnected. They have parted ways. And, quite frankly, that's kind of been a theme for the last few years. So how long can this go? I'm not quite sure, Kerry, but on many levels, things have become disjointed.
Yeah, very disjointed. So what do we need to see here to change things? What's going to make the difference?
Well, I don't think it's breaching any psychological technical level. I think technical analysis in a rigged market is a flawed measurement tool for sure. I think what we really need to see is probably a popping of some of these massive bubbles that we see all around us, whether it be the S&P 500, trading at multiples above what it was, not only at the dot-com bubble, but also the housing bubble. This happening with interest rates at the lowest level ever in the history of the Federal Reserve. The mentality of a riskless environment has to change dramatically with some sort of an event that wakes people up and jogs their ever short memory to the realities of what happens when we get this far above rational numbers as it pertains to the stock market, the crypto market, the bond market, you name it. Heck, I was just looking at the European junk bond market, which is trading at a lower rate than the U.S. 10-year Treasury. The logic has left the building, and until we see something that brings us back to some sort of rational methodology as it pertains to investing, I think gold and silver are just going to kind of languish until people realize that you can't create money out of thin air. And gold and silver have a 5,000-year track record of being just that, being wealth. And so, I don't know what brings us back, Kerry, because quite frankly, it's been a very frustrating 5 years for all of us, whether you own gold or sell gold. You look at what's happening, and it should be many multiples higher than what it is. The fact that it's not is ever frustrating. But ultimately, I don't think you can run from mathematics, and I don't think you can run from logic. You can certainly evade it for a while, and the powers that be have done a masterful job at doing that. But I don't think you abandon your philosophy or your ideology, and especially when your gut is in major conflict right now with your emotions. That's when it's time to kind of double down on your conviction and try to reaffirm your grip and hang on with strong fingertips, because the laws of supply and demand, even though it appears they have not been rewritten.
Yeah, well, maybe they're on a extended vacation, extended holiday, as they'd say in Australia, right?
It sure seems that way. It sure seems that way on a lot of levels, no question about it. And when you factor in, the craziness that 2017 has been, almost a political circus show, and
almost.
Yeah, and then of course it seems that every single decision that comes out of Washington is only favoring the 0.1% at the very, very top and negatively affecting everybody else. And with that, you see a stock market that is blowing through all levels of sanity with virtually no risk associated with it. The VIX at lowest levels in comparison to a stock market that is blowing through all rational barriers. So, look, I think that sometimes, when things get crazy like this, you just have to shut your computer off and sit down and reflect upon on your belief structure. And I think that's really where we're at right now, because we are witnessing things that are defying logic, defying gravity, defying economics, at least temporarily. And all the technical analysis in the world and all of the economic jawboning from people in this sector won't change anything until something happens that pops the bubbles and brings back some sort of normal market behavior to this sector. Until then, it's going to be rough sailing.
The markets are broken for sure. I mean, look, Palladium, it's down $26 today to around $9.95, but platinum, which is a better catalyst for catalytic converters, is at $927. That is a huge gap, and it seldom ever happens that palladium trades for more than platinum. So that's just one example of the market being broken, isn't it?
There's no question. There's lots of anomalies in the marketplace. The platinum-palladium ratio is certainly one of them. The gold-silver ratio is one of them. The gold-to-platinum ratio is another. The platinum-to-palladium ratio could be explained, I guess, if you're forward thinking in the fact that palladium is generally considered the item for catalytics in unleaded vehicles, and platinum is used in catalytics for diesel engines. And I know that there is a major push in Europe towards pulling diesels off the road in the next few years. I think that diesel fuel in general is beginning to attract detractors from the impact it has on the environment. And so you are beginning to see a thrust towards anything that will get diesel fuel off the road, whether it be battery-powered semis that Tesla is making, to unleaded fuel engines where palladium would be the major catalyst instead of platinum. But Carrie, the bottom line is that's just one theory. The amount of disconnections are unparalleled to anything I've ever seen in 28 years of doing this. In all of those things we talked about, gold, silver, platinum, palladium, platinum, gold, the price of numismatic gold coins, everything that used to be considered a staple is upside down. Including a lot of the logic that we see going into investment decisions. So I just think that it's one of those times where it seems like the world is upside down on so many levels. And when I talk about gold and silver, it's important to remember, and this helps bring me back and ground me as it pertains to my ideology and my thinking. Gold and silver is not an investment. What you're doing in Bitcoin is an investment. Bitcoin is not a currency, just like gold is not a currency. They're both assets. The difference is that gold has been an asset for 5,000 years, and it has been accepted by humans as being an asset of great rarity and great value. And so when we talk about, Bitcoin usurping gold as a new form of digital gold, perhaps, I think that's crazy. I think it's absolutely crazy that the market has moved up as fast as it has, doubling in the last month, up 700% this year. Yeah. These are numbers that are forever associated with bubbles and market peaks. And when we talk about is this time any different? I don't think it is different. I think what happens with these cryptocurrencies is the people who issue them and the people who get in early make a fortune if they're able to get out in time, and the rest of the people end up losing everything or an awful lot. There is just no credible information that would ever lead me to believe that Bitcoin will replace gold as a hedge against uncertainty and a falling dollar and all of the craziness that we see around us. So, I just think when it gets to being like this, Kerry, sometimes you just need to sit back and let things unfold and don't make any rash decisions. And I think in the end, people who hold gold and silver will be very glad that they didn't succumb to the emotional pressures of succumbing to perhaps that this time really is different.
Yeah, so you don't think this time is different. In the long run, values will reassert themselves, and this is what we're going to be looking at, huh?
I think absolutely. Values will have to reassert themselves. And, it's the world is different, and there's no question that the blockchain, which isn't a new technology, is finally becoming embraced as a new technology. And perhaps the blockchain is here to stay on many levels. But I don't think that Bitcoin has replaced gold as a tested, secure store of value. And, I may be naive in the workings of Bitcoin. I don't own any Bitcoin. I realize that it has certainly been an incredible run, and there are a lot of very smart people embracing it. But when I simply look at the market action of how fast it has moved up, it is very much emblematic of every other bubble that has ever been. Markets don't move that fast without there being a lot of pain suffered by the people who get in late. And so while I don't discredit the technology behind it, I think that Bitcoin is not a currency. Bitcoin is an investment, and it is not going to replace gold. It will never replace gold and silver for what they offer. But, at this point right now, there are a lot of people who believe it has, and that's kind of the problem with what's happening with precious metals. They're just a lot of people who would traditionally look to gold and silver right now, I think, are looking to cryptocurrencies until something happens that makes them realize that, why gold and silver have been money for 5,000 years, or at least wealth for 5,000 years. And so there may be a place for Bitcoin in everybody's portfolio, but I don't think it'll ever replace gold and silver for what gold and silver have to offer as insurance.
And that very well might be the case. So looking ahead here, what is the biggest value play in precious metals right now, Andy?
No question, it's numismatic gold coins, Kerry. Something that I have ignored for the better part of a decade.
Yeah, I've never heard you guys really be enthusiastic about them until recently, and yet a lot of the other ones are really like pushing it, right?
The reason that a lot of companies have pushed numismatics over the years is that selling bullion is a very, very slim margin proposition. So when you sell numismatics, typically you make a little bit more money.
Right.
The competition, however, that the internet provides is somewhat leveling that playing field. If you can purchase numismatics, bottom line, at a level that is commensurate with gold bullion, you have no reason to not. In 28 years, I've never seen that level commensurate with bullion. For the first time ever, it is. And in fact, in some cases, even less than gold bullion. Much to the same tune, what we were talking about, a lot of people perhaps dipping their toe into cryptocurrencies instead of precious metals, and that has somewhat dropped the bid for gold. It's also dropped the bid prices on the physical items themselves to levels that I've never been accustomed to seeing. And so the opportunity cost with numismatics is completely and totally gone. They are completely and totally gone in that there are no premiums. I mean, none to speak of that I, would normally tell people to buy gold bullion over the last 15 years because it was the biggest bang for the buck. I can actually outfit people with $20 gold pieces from 125 years ago for less money than a gold eagle. Wow, that's something really? I've never been able to do. And using the last 30 years as my guidepost, with the exception of the last 6 months, you would have come out ahead purchasing those coins at that price virtually across the board. So
it's just amazing.
It's just another anomaly, another distortion created by all the craziness that's happening in the world.
Yeah, and there's no shortage of that, is there? Well, hey, we're going to be having a webinar shortly, and you'll be getting notice of it. Andy's going to be giving it. We're going to try to get Mickey Fulp on hand as well, and maybe another person. So keep your eyes open. If we could do it before the holidays, we will. Otherwise, it'll be right after the first of the year. Andy, just tell us where we find you.
We can be found at milesfranklin.com. I can personally be found at andy@milesfranklin.com. Our 800 number is 1-800-822-8080. I'll leave you with one last thing, Kerry.
Sure.
We live in a homogenous world, and it seems that everything boils down to price. Miles Franklin is not an ordinary precious metals company. We've been in business for almost 29 years, and we've never had one material complaint ever. We've never had a complaint by the Better Business Bureau. We're one of only 24 companies in the world ever approved by the United States Mint to sell their product. And all of those accolades, which we're very proud of in a federally non-regulated industry, remember that, federally non-regulated, that's all great. But the state of Minnesota says we don't care. The state of Minnesota, our home state, is the only state in the country that licensed the precious metals industry. In the last 3 years, the three biggest online companies have gone bankrupt, and their presidents are in prison. Tulving in 2014, Bullion Direct in 2015, Northwest Territorial Mint last year. And just a few months ago, Monex was levied with a huge lawsuit, federal lawsuit by the CFTC. The list continues to grow. The state of Minnesota has regulations that no one else in the United States has to abide by as it pertains to precious metals, ranging from background checks of every employee in principle every single year, continuing education and compliance, and a very, very large surety bond that protects people who do business with the company in the state of Minnesota. We're very proud of our reputation, Kerry, and the state of Minnesota will make sure that anyone who does business with us will receive what he or she has ordered. So I appreciate being here very, very much. And I know that right now, precious metals are not so much in favor. But for your listeners who do decide to do something, we would love the opportunity to work with them. And rest assured, in this homogenous world, we stick out as it pertains to accountability and accessibility. I'm always available and always very, very excited to chat with anyone who mentions you or this show.
Hey, well, we always appreciate you coming on, Andy, and we'll just have to watch and see what happens in this crazy world. It certainly is nuts. Everything is turned upside down, it seems, but eventually normalcy will prevail. And at that point, we'll see what happens. Anyway, questions or comments, join the show. Email me at kl@kerrylutz.com. Twitter feed's at Kerry Lutz. Facebook page is Financial Survival Network. And Andy, we'll talk to you soon, and I'll look forward to the upcoming webinar.
You're the best, Kerry. I appreciate you very much.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.